My name is Leilani Olofsza, and I'm wanting to put together a little presentation that I've kind of been hesitant about. But I recently went to a secret space program up in Illinois and met some really interesting people and listened to their stories. And I think it was yesterday or the day before, I was listening to a podcast from Laura Eisenhower. Um, and I did manage to speak to her for a few minutes when we were at the conference, and I've really been wanting to share my story, but not quite sure how to go about it. So I guess I had to start at the beginning. Like I said, my name is Leilani Olofsza, and I'm going to try not to put a lot of gematria into it, but numbers do matter in my case. So my name does come to 144, which is state before, which is 18, which is a 9, right? And I'm going to throw these out because it will resonate with who it does. And whoever needs to hear the message would hear it. And if it resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, then just keep moving on. Eventually, things will fall into place and make more sense. Okay, so I was born in South Africa in 1973. I was a premature, a preemie by 2.5 months. I was due on February 22nd of 74, but I was born on in the early hours of the morning of December 8th of 1973. Clearly my mom was under heavy attack during her pregnancy. And I was born in Uitenhage, which is the same town as Kim Clement. Clement first comes to 144 as well. And his daughter shares stuff on YouTube about his prophecies and prophesying. And one that kind of sticks out to me is the one about the woman, which makes me a little bit nervous. But yeah. So when I look at Kim Clement and I look at his birth date, he is an ascended master. His number comes to 33. And the date of his death, or I guess I was led to believe that he went into witness protection. That value comes up to a 7. If you add 33 and 7, you get a 40, which is 4. And my life path number is 4 as well. When I take my father's birth date, he's an ascended master. It comes to 33. And that's like where it gets really interesting. So my dad's date of birth, okay, it comes to 33. The date that he had a helicopter accident also comes to a 33. And he had his helicopter accident 8 days after my 21st birthday. When I take the value of my 21st birthday, it comes to 7. So again, we can take my dad's date of birth and my 21st birthday, right, and we get a 40 as well. If I take the date of my dad's accident and the date that he died, I don't even know at this point. Could he potentially be in witness protection too from South Africa? Maybe he was exposing some stuff there. I have no idea at this point, or if they just siphoned the life force out of him. So my father, so again, if I take out the day of the accident and the day of his passing, it's 33 and 7 again, which gives us another 40. My mom's date of birth is also a 33, and the day of her passing comes to a 4. So it's like kind of crazy. And my birth date comes to 13, and we flip with 31, which gives us, 4 and 4. Again, 4 being my life path number. So my father was also the spitting image of Elvis Presley, and if you've watched my other presentations, that you would see that I say that, that I mention that as well. And it's pertinent to me because apparently Alice did go into witness protection, and he's known as Bob Joyce. My neighbors were Bob and Joyce when I was a little girl. So yeah, I'm going to try and keep my train of thought. I try not to plan this because then it's just so plastic. So I'm trying to get it just to flow. Okay, so Gladys loved Presley. It obviously was Elvis Presley's mom, right? And she, when you look at her numbers, she has 3, 6, and 9s. Like the date she got, her birthday is a value, and then the date she got married to Vernon is a value too, and the date she passed away. Those, when you take those, it all comes to 3, 6, and 9. You add them all together, you get a 9. Gladys passed away from acute hepatitis, and it's like I find that really interesting because that's when my health journey started. I went in, I was having an upper respiratory issue, and went into this clinic, and the doctor, I didn't take antibiotics. I really did try and steer clear, even though I was working as a nurse in the medical field, which I no longer do. that was one of my diagnoses after being prescribed a fluoroquinolone, which is a black box item, and the doctors prescribed like candy, like Cipro, and it doesn't do good things. It actually does affect your liver. And anyway, I had to go in for tests, and I was diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis as well as related to fluoroquinolones. And if you do the research in that, you can find out that many of our military veterans suffer from autoimmune hepatitis, and I guess I can relate it to Desert Storm when they were using fluoroquinolones for anthrax prophylactic. Anyway, so that's where we're at with that. And I think it's interesting because if I take my initials, which are LOR, L comes to 12, which is 3. The O is, hold on, is 15, right, which is 6. And then the R is the 18th letter, which is 9. So there again we have 444, 555, 666. Do I have that right? Yes. Okay. So, I've lost my train of thought. Let me get it back together. Okay, so it's kind of interesting. So Gladys has that. We have the same, like she passed away from autoimmune, like the acute hepatitis. So and then we have the 3, 6, and 9s. The other thing is like she passed away on 8/14 of 58, right? Elvis Presley then returned back to base like 10 days after her funeral. And there was another 10. Oh, she was 46, which is 10. And like when I was first doing my research, like what I thought then was about the Mickey Mouse clock and the 1010. I have no idea why that thought came to me. It just did. So the other thing as well, we're going back to Elvis Presley. Oh, okay. So the other things about August, especially like this week in August, in 1977, it was on August 15th that there was a wow signal that reverberated through the heavens, right? And it lasted for 72 seconds, which is also again a 9. And I do believe the day after that would be when Elvis Presley went into witness protection, and I do believe that he's the spearhead of the military operation. And Q is the military operation, and it has a panel of like 800 militants that are helping President Trump, right? And I tried to share that. I do have a video, but YouTube took it down, so I did put it on Rumble. So there's the wow signal. The wow signal for me is the activation of the divine feminine, saying, "Hey, and I'm coming home." Like when I first started doing it, these are the songs that came to me with Silent Running, "I'm Coming Home," and "Rescue." And when I've looked at my story throughout my life, like there's certain things that I've had events, I've had surgeries, I've lost everybody, like lost people in my life, and it's always been around the same time over Easter, or like a month or two before, or a month or two after. Oh, okay, yeah, I haven't been beaten. Like I have these marks on my face. I just got close and personal with the tarmac on my bike ride yesterday. I took a different bike, and the traction wasn't as tight on the rear wheel. So yeah, I went ahead and kissed the tarmac. I'm just glad it's just some little things like, but it's all good. It's no biggie. I just didn't want you to think I was beaten. And I'm not. Okay, so the wow signal. So if you turn wow upside down, you get mom. That makes me think of the divine feminine. So when I've put like the losses in my life, or the heavy traumas in my life, it's always been around those times. And it's interesting, except for the first time, like in August, I almost think when I look back, there were surgeries that I've had, and then benefits for other folks, right? So when I'm looking at the wow signal, when I look at that, I think that was the first time that I had surgery. And that would have been for my tonsils, which would be my throat chakra, which would be my voice, which is also, I guess, something that the people that are trying to block me from speaking or speaking out or sharing my story go for your throat. So, yeah, I want to share a little bit about my journey and the things that I've experienced, because I promise you, a year ago, I didn't know what an energy vampire was. And when you realize you've been a target of that, and then you can link it back to the beginning of your life, it's kind of shocking in a way. But I do believe the first time that I was attacked was when the wow signal was activated because my name, like I said, is Leilani. It means heavenly child, heavenly flower, or child of royalty. So I guess maybe perhaps that was like the first attack against me, and then that activated, I don't know, a powerful force that's coming down on the earth, I guess. I don't know. I'm just sharing. Okay. So my neighbors, I told you, were Bob and Joyce. My dad's a spitting image of Elvis Presley, and then we learned about parallel lives and alternate universes and all this stuff when I went into the conference and met some really interesting folks over there. Okay. My godfather, his name was Donald, and like this is where when you're doing the ascension, you'll find that you have like a review of your life, and you'll go through your childhood, or you'll have childhood memories that come up, and it's just like how you deal with that, and you realize that that's your belief system that you've based yourself on and your self-worth and everything on, like growing up. So as these things surface up to the top is for us to like stop and view them and not feed into it, because we have a choice. We can play into an emotion, and which is energy in motion, and what we put out we get back. So we really need to be careful, and that's why I never wish anything ill on anybody, because I don't want that for me or my family, right? So my godfather's name was Donald, right? So I popped that into gematria because I'm doing a lot, and you know, there are some influences from the beginning that were telling us that, you know, President Trump uses gematria as a form of intelligent design, right? Or that's what I was led to believe in the group that I was in. Okay, so I put in my godfather was also named Donald, and that comes to 299, which is 20, which is 2. Okay. So here's the thing with President Trump that I would like to share, right? Because it's not readily out there. But I do believe he's General Patton's son. And some people think that like he's the reincarnation of General Patton. I mean, that's a potential too, right? We don't really know. But what I've heard is that he is General Patton's son, and he was actually born on December 7th. And when you put these things in to gematria as well, there's one form that says President and Prophet, which I have it written down, and I'll get to it again because it also forms in my numbers somewhere when I'm doing this. And my favorite Christmas hymn was The Little Drummer Boy. And when I see the pictures of President Trump as a little boy with his eyes that are blue, like that's what comes to me. It's a little drummer boy. Anyway, so, and Pearl Harbor Day also comes to 144. So that would have been when President Trump was born, and then 2 weeks later was when they would have murdered General Patton, right? And I find that like that's really interesting too, because you know I had my 21st birthday. My dad had his accident a week later, a helicopter accident where he had a basilar skull fracture, and then you realize that. Anyway, I'll get to that. Anyway. So these are the other things that come up to 299. He will prepare the way before me is 299, right? And then like we're going through it, they know not what they do is 299. What is the purpose of a tribe? 299. And that's like where we're going, I feel, through this whole ascension, which each one of us is going through right now, is you find your tribe, and there's like 12 original angelic tribes, and I think there's a 13th one, I guess, and 13 is not a bad number, but you start seeing 13s and 4s everywhere as well. It's really interesting. So, and sorry, let me just get resituated. Infiltration, not invasion. You know, when I see this, the thoughts that come to my mind is what Dolores Cannon talked about. You know, when she says that, first off, we were created by aliens, and people are going to have a hard time with that. But I mean, Inky did come down, and there are people that share where they spliced the second and third chromosome and shortened our telomeres so that they could harvest our energy more, or outsource more, because Earth is like this prison planet, and humans were created as slaves, right? And this is what President Trump has done. He's had 209 countries capitulate and work with him and with Q, I guess, to expose all the corruption in the world. So yeah, so if we look at that, so if President Trump, let's look at this whole Christ thing and the second coming of Christ, right? We know there's lots of Jesuses everywhere, because I think it's a state of being and a state of life and a state of choice. And like, what is love? Love is kindness, compassion, gentleness, being pure of heart, never intentionally wanting to hurt another person, not being greedy, not being envious, like all of those, whatever those 7 deadly sins are. And you always do things in good conscience, and you don't set out to hurt other people, is ideal, right? So if we look at where we're at currently, and I this is my viewpoint, right? Hold on. Okay, so if President Trump, look at what he's done. Look at what he's done for us. He's put himself on the front lines and gone into places to expose all the darkness. He's done things that many of us won't do, but he showed us the way to do it, right? And I know I shared some other videos because I was told put in Gematria. Now I trust that the information on Gematria has been shared by honest people, but I also realize that that's not always necessarily the truth, and I really don't know who owns it, so who could be manipulating, and I pray that that's not what it is at all. But I did share early on that because I had seen a remote viewer that had claimed that they had poisoned President Trump and that his daughter had signed a DNR, and I felt like I wanted to share that as a what if. I'm not saying it is so, I'm just saying, what if it was so? How do we move forward as one nation under God, or one globe under God, right? But then again, there's a part of me that wishes that hopes that none of that is true, and that, you know, if they were trying to harm him, that he was able to go into some kind of witness protection, or anybody in the situation, because it seems like a lot of people are targeted. Divine masculines are targeted, especially those ones that are trying to get out of toxic situations where these women are going to great lengths to poison them and make their lives hell. And I mean, I know that all we need to do is listen to the angels, and they all singing in the heavens. Who are those angels to me? The spiritual advisors, the tarot card readers, the starseeds, the ones that your religion will tell you are evil. But religion is not the truth. And religion is a form of mind control, and whoever controls the mind controls the soul. And this is where we're at. We are at the time where we are shifting, and the Bible says, like, I am the beginning and the end. So we're shifting. So at this moment, we're being moved back, like we're going through a time travel situation right now. So when we're going back to the beginning, and you look at what's going on in the world, and you see who's been affected by what, and especially when people are throwing out bloodlines out there, and if you view this from a higher perspective, you realize that there's like this Archon war. I didn't even know what Archons were a few years ago, but I guess it's these different factions of the Alpha Draconians and the Anu Anunnaki. And then you find out that at the beginning of this time was the Luciferian invasion into the Garden of Eden prior to the fall of man, or what participated the fall of humanity, right? And like, that's where we're going through. So they're shifting us back through galactic stargates at the moment, and each time we're moving through a stargate and there's more light bombarding, like, we're elevating, and more of our spiritual gifts are becoming awakened within us, those of us that have them and that are not being harnessed by somebody else. The other one that jumps out at me over here was hold on. Okay, so these are all glorious transformations, is 299, that we're all coming to right now, right? She is a very sensitive girl, 299. Yeah, I am. And that's what we all are, all of us empaths. We are super sensitive, and that's how you can detect when you have someone that's not of high vibration around you. And it's not a negative thing, and I don't want anybody construing it as negative. But it's like the light in us irritates the darkness in somebody else. And I guess that's I don't even know what an earth angel was. And I guess it's just those of us that are of high integrity and honesty and wanting to seek the truth and share the truth with compassion and kindness, but we will stand our ground and protect ourselves when we need to. And I mean, and a lot of people will say, oh, well, that's being self-righteous. No, it's not. It's standing your ground. And, you know, while I say that, there's something else, you know, that I just don't understand. That people say, oh, put on the full armor of God. Well, you're not supposed to ever take it off. It's like, oh, okay, so, I don't know, something about the truth, right? It's like, oh, so I only need to tell the truth when I have the armor of God on. Oh, I only need to be righteous when I have the armor of God on. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. You should never take off the armor of God. You should never have to put it on, because then there's a division. It's like, oh, okay, I can be like an asshole. Sorry, you cannot be a nice person some of the time, and then be perfect the other. Like there isn't. You need to be true and authentic to yourself and to others at all times, not just when it's convenient. And that's what it seems to me. It's like, oh, I'll just put on the armor of God when it's convenient for me. Okay. Which, yeah. Oh, here's another one that makes me giggle. There is no dream job, idiot. Those were $2.99. No, because we must serve others from our hearts. That's what brings you joy, and you need to have the desire to want to help other people, because that brings you joy, and when you're joyful, it elevates your frequency. Okay, I am looking for a specific one because I wanted to go down that path, because I really want to explore energy vampirism, which again I didn't know a vampire was a thing, but they are, and they harness your energy, and they do it in the most sinister way, which makes you sound like you're lost your mind to everybody else. But this is my truth, and it is the truth of what happened. Witchcraft was used against her, right? Also comes to $2.99. That's the one that I was looking for. So I want to share my story about the witchcraft and being a targeted individual. Starting from the beginning, clearly with the wow signal, right? And when I was 7 years old, I had a Monster Inc. encounter, and I know it sounds ludicrous, and I know this won't resonate with anybody, but I know there's probably thousands of other people out there that as a child had a similar experience. Okay, so this is what it was for me. I went outside to feed my dog a strip of bacon, I think it was, and when I turned around, there was this beast, okay, and it had like curvy horns, I think, like it had these curvy horns, and it was like a gorilla, and I don't remember, and I remember chatting with James Rink at the conference, and he was asking me about it, the beast, and I couldn't remember if it had wings or hooves, but whatever it was, when I started to research like Moloch, which goes down to abortions, right, and this Wade versus Roe thing, if people would realize that abortion is a child sacrifice, and if Ruth Bader Ginsburg was wanting to push it to full-term abortion, that means, okay, they have sacrifice. People are willingly sacrificing their child to a deity by the name of Moloch. Or that's what I've been led to believe, right? So this thing looked like Moloch, and then it was like Marduk was another one that I looked at, like the beast, like that. So what it does, it scared the bejesus out of me, which makes me giggle, because I don't mean that as a pun. If you slow it down and say, be Jesus. So I had that incident. It really did scare me. And that's how you learn now. That's how they harness your energy. And that's how they can siphon it off of you and share it and switch it among the elites that want to use your spiritual gifts for their advantage. A short time after that, and there were celebrities that were in South Africa at the time. But again, I'm not naming names because I don't want to bring people glory, and I really don't want to falsely accuse people, but I'm only going to share my story. And if there's no such thing as a coincidence, you have to go, So that was one of the episodes that I had, and a short time after that, we were nearly murdered, and I was nearly kidnapped. And I was at the park with my friend, and we were playing on the merry-go-round. And I had noticed this van. It was a white van. And I really wasn't paying that much attention to it. But there was a shift in the atmosphere when these two men got out of the car. There was like a shift in the energy. And I grabbed my friend's hand, and we started to run away. And we we ran into this granny's courtyard, and the men went back to the van, drove off. And I remember when I got home, my mom scolded me. She was really angry, and she said to me, they steal little girls and sell them to Saudi Arabian sheiks. Don't do that again. So I was, I mean, little. I'm 48 right now. I'll be 49 this year, which is 13, which is 4. And M, right? So that was what happened. And then there was also an episode. We had this massive tree in the front garden, and there was a storm one night, and the lightning hit it and like blew debris for blocks and blocks away. There was another incident in spring of 1981, I think it was, where there was a snowstorm in South Africa. And then if we look at dates in and around that time, there's pertinence to that as well. So those were some of the things. And then, you know, when you look at your life, I lost my best friend in a car accident shortly after graduating high school. My favorite cousin was killed with her husband going out on the anniversary. My dad died as well. My dad's birthday in 97 was on Good Friday, and he died on April 4th. And that's what else I find is really interesting is, yeah, I was targeted last year by a group of people, individuals that did black magic and other kind of things on me, and I'll get into that a little bit more. Because my mind has been scrambled from chaos magic and stuff. And then when you also like realize that not only are these individuals that come for you, but apparently like the government, the CIA targets Starseeds as well, and they know more about us than we know about ourselves. And they obtain this data at birth by doing a PKU, which is crazy. And that's how Bill Gates and all those people track everybody and your spiritual gifts through that. So when they poke your foot for the first time, they have a genetic tracing of who you are, and they also split your consciousness. And that then allows for a first negative entity to come in. So if they would just leave your child on your chest, right, you will trigger the endocannabinoid system, which is a normal state of bliss. But they don't even teach any of that. I don't know if they teach it in medical school. I know in nursing school we never touched it. And it makes perfect sense, because we all want to be in a state of perfect bliss, and we all have this endocannabinoid system within our body, which is natural to us. And, you know, that's why cannabis is used for so many things, for healing and health, as a food source. That's where I get my protein from. I am vegan for the most part. I'm still stupid sometimes. I'm like, well, maybe if I try this, it will be okay. And it's not. So I don't eat meat, like nothing. I do try fish. I can't eat cooked fish because it makes me sick to my stomach. I did try the tuna tataki, which is, I've always liked it, but I haven't been able to eat it because it makes me feel sick. And if you look at it, it's because there's no life in death, and we're not supposed to put mammalian flesh into our body, because it creates a state of acidosis, and if your body is out of harmony, your mind doesn't work properly. And this is what they know. They know if they influence what we eat, they control your mind. Once they control your mind, they control your soul. It's like so crazy when you realize the extent of this. Okay, so that was my monster, my Monsters Inc. situation, right? And this is how these people attach to you and draw your energy. In 88, like I said, I had to have an emergency appendectomy and I had to stay a little bit longer in the hospital to ensure that I didn't have peritonitis. And that was also the year I gave my life to Christ, right? And there was a gentleman by the name of Rufus that prayed over me, and he said to me, like, you will stand at the right-hand side of Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, in the presence of the Lord God Almighty in this lifetime. And it's like, I don't know, maybe that's what's given me my faith, just to be strong and continue to move on and move forward, listening and hearing to people that hate you for no reason other than to be a shining light, or because what you share is a truth, and because it hurts their feelings, maybe they turn on you. I don't know exactly what it is that you do that would make somebody hate you so much that they would think it's okay to do black magic and manipulation and chaos spells and hoodoo, voodoo and graveyard magic, all this crazy stuff that I'd never even heard of in my life. You know, I was always told that tarot readers are evil. And they're really not, because if you actually wake up to it, you realize that they're tapping into the quantum field. So whenever there's like a negative vibration or something negative going on to the quantum, they're going to tap into it. And if that person is attached to you and your energetic field because they are drawing your life force off of you so that they can gain and manifest the things that they want for themselves, obviously you're going to tap into it, right? You don't want to. But anyway, last year, and again, I'm not mentioning names because I don't think these people need any glory. They know who they are, and that's okay. And just know that I love you anyway, and I forgive you. Because like it says, yeah, you don't know what you're doing. So I was in a group, and there was one particular individual that befriended me. She called me every single day for a month, obviously to learn about me and to know who I am. And clearly these people knew more about me than I knew about myself, so they were going to try and impede my ascension as a result, and they did this through manipulation, energy manipulation. So what does that mean? So I am grateful that my ex-husband is a witness to everything that I did experience. So there was one woman in particular, well, there's a whole group of them, but you know, you can put it all together. There was one that was the instigator. She called me and they said, oh, they needed to help another influencer who I'm not going to mention because I don't even know if he was aware of it or not, but they were saying, oh, we need to help this guy. He's stuck in a tunnel and he's not making his ascension. So I'm naive, right? And I think I'm going to help people. So I go in there, there's this woman talking, there's a man in the room. They're saying, she's telling him to get to 0 point, telling me to stand up, sit down, decode this. It was like total cluster. But what they did was they were drawing energy from my solar plexus. Okay, she kept lay low, which is yellow, which then makes me think of citrine, which would be the crystal that works around. And like, I have lots of information, but little tidbits of information. I'm not a expert at any of this. It's just my journey, right? So they dropped my temperature so significantly that it took 5 to 6 hours for me to regulate my temperature. On July 4th, not this year, last year, we went to the boat, and the same individual, they were calling me. I was saying, oh no, you get on the boat. We've got to do something, right? We've got to do this thing before President Trump's presentation. So these people are using my love and my appreciation of President Trump to draw me into this group, to draw me in, right? So I don't know what they were doing. I think it was, from listening to the Starseeds, it was like some conception ritual that they were doing, because this one woman in the group was like, well, do you feel this? Do you feel that? And I was like, no, I don't know what you're doing. So they were doing something to manipulate energies, right? Or cast spells, actually. Then there was another one where they're like, oh, you need to be reborn in Christ, or some stuff like that. And they were doing this prayer, but the woman was speaking in tongues. Or later I found out it's really not tongues. They use satanic incantations. And you can actually, if you're a child of God, a true child of God, you can walk up to someone in a church that is doing that, lay your hand on them, and you will actually hear what they say. And a lot of the time it's not good. It's actually satanic rituals. And I've seen some videos on that on YouTube, and it's like astounding to me that people will walk into a church, a witch will walk into a church and curse everyone. But I guess that's the world that we live in, right? So when they were doing this thing, and they were saying, when they started saying about the eating flesh and drinking blood, like there was this pressure that just like clamped down around me. So I don't know if that was the binding spell that was binding me, or if that was my ancestors protecting me. I don't know. There was a couple of other things. Oh, this particular person, after they tried to, when they dropped my temperature, what it actually was, come to find out, they tried to switch my soul. They were doing a soul harvest. They were sacrificing me, basically. And when you listen to the angels, you can tell, like they go, my star sign is a Sagittarian. And so that's what you listen, and you can like tap into it, and you realize how they've come after the divine feminine of the Sagittarius. And that there's a lot of it that I resonate to, and then you hear that the counterpart went kind of against all of that and was willing to sacrifice you, and take your spiritual gifts and give them to other people because you didn't meet their requirements. You know, they prayed for somebody to come and help them during their darkest time, and this is where we're at. We are assigned to people to help them through the darkness, through the ascension, but then there are other people that stepped in and prevented that. I was the person that was sent into this individual's life to help them, but other people thought that they would do a better job, and I don't know exactly what that entailed, but it doesn't sound like this person had a very good time. They were clearly targeted by other individuals, and the those darkness. I'm sorry. If you're going to put a period tampon, steep tampons, like use your menses to manipulate someone else's mind, you're twisted and you're sick and you need help. So I feel sorry for all these men that are having to deal with women that are doing this stuff to inhibit them from their ascension. I send my love out to you, and I hope that y'all can get through those. It's just insane that people will go to such lengths to manipulate and hurt another human being, and to manipulate their free will, and to bend their destiny. You can't change what was written in the stars from the beginning of time. You can't do that. She created the constellations. Comes to $2.99. They just like popped out on my page, right? So those were my episodes. You can't kill someone. You can't sacrifice a child of God that has a higher purpose, that's come to this earth to help humanity. I don't know exactly what that entails right now, but I do believe that in my heart. And while I say that, I'm going to go ahead and say a prayer that I really do like saying, and it's one of my favorites and one that I've used for a long time, and it is: the light of God surrounds me, the love of God enfolds me, the power of God protects me, and the presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is. And I recently found out that that's a Lumerian prayer that the Lumerians used prior to that fall, which is also something that's really interesting, and that's why this Schumann resonance is so important for us to increase our vibration as well, right? Because they've tried this ascension, I guess, 7 times before, and what happens is the frequencies weren't elevated enough to keep the hydrostatic tension on the firmament. So with Atlantis, what happened was I guess they were trying to do an ascension, but the resonancy wasn't high enough to keep the torsion in the firmament. So with that wobble in the firmament is what caused the flooding. So I'm thinking this time that the resonancy of the earth is high enough to keep the hydrostatic tension in the dome, so that the flooding, when we switch, we lose that magnetism, and what I'm assuming is going to happen, we're going to untether from Polaris and tether back into the central sun when that stellar stargate opens, which which would also activate your crown chakra, because we have these 7 gates that they went through, right? To take us down to darkness, and now we like progressing back up, out, and through those. So those were my experiences. Oh, like I had craziness, like my brain was scrambled, and it was from chaos magic, and I really don't have a whole lot of recollection, because they do like memory spells and they do all this crazy stuff. I guess they couldn't do the death wishes because God's not going to let you kill his child that has a bigger purpose on this earth. Oh, here's another one that pops out. Like, I don't know. You know, this is like really difficult for me to do, because I don't want to be accusatory. But when I had these experiences, and then I listened to the angels, not the imaginary voices that some people experience in their head, but there are other people that angels do speak to them, that are genuinely their angels, but there's also others that, I don't know, it's questionable. But to me, it's like when the answers you have are all in you. And I know it sounds so cliche, but it is. Like, you have to look for the answers in you, because you've had life experiences that will give you those answers. You know, yeah, something else, like his heart of gold is holy and pure. And that's like one of the things that I always noticed about President Trump, right? Is I saw the goodness in him, and I saw the light in him. So when you listen to the news, and I've lost friends, especially when all the women were running around with vaginas on their heads, like, what is that? That's so degrading. But anyway, each to his own. We can all do whatever we want to do if that's what floats your boat. More happiness to you. But anyway, I had a friend and I stopped being friends because we got into argument around President Trump. And I'm like, well, look at the things he has done. And the news is just saying all the things he hasn't. So for me, I do see the light in his heart and the goodness of his soul. And I will be eternally grateful that, you know, that he went into the tunnels and went into the, I'm not going to say tunnels, let me take that. He went into dark spaces in order to expose them, right? So a lot of people, like, get stuck on the Masons and all that, and it's, you need to go into these places to do investigations to get the proof that we need, obviously. It's sad for me, like, when we should all be coming together and working together for the greater good of all of humanity. So when you've kind of been singled out and other people know more about you and they want to take you out and take away your life because they want what's yours, is like bizarre, and I don't know, even make any sense to me. Because why can't we just work together? But no, there are people that go against it, or, oh, this person couldn't possibly be anything God would want to be in a position. It's like, but that's not your choice, and you don't know. Each one of us has our own walk, and for us, for me, I think we should all come together and join hands and do this together instead of like trying to hurt someone that's clearly just wanting to help. And I have good intentions. I will never do anything to intentionally hurt another person. I never have, and I never will. And I will never wish something bad on someone. So, you know what else is like really weird? It's like popped into my mind with my throat. Was the first thing that they went after, and it kind of makes you think of Ariel. And there's so many things, like when you start realizing that fairy tales like make sense in your life, and you know, then you want to converse and communicate with other adults, and you want them to take you seriously. It's like kind of a little bit crazy, but yes, Ariel, her voice went first, right? And then my heart. In my parents got divorced 81, and that was my first heartache. And my father in 1997, that's 20 years, I just didn't put that together. 77 never mind, I'll explore that later, because now I've lost my train of thought. That's the other thing as well, like when you get higher in the ascension, is your thoughts, like they flow so quickly, like if you don't say what you need to say when you need to say it, you forget it. And then, you know, you're like, oh, do I have Alzheimer's? No, you don't. It's part of the ascension. Okay, what's something else? So I mentioned the hydrostatic tension. I don't even know where I went with that one. Okay, so does it mean that those pressures are high enough where we won't necessarily have another flood? I don't know. But here's something that does stick out to me. It says, get in the ark before rains come. Also comes to 299. So what is an ark to you, and what's an ark to me? I think an ark are UFOs or other flying apparatus, right? Because there has to be full disclosure. If we're going to have disclosure, we're going to have disclosure on everything, and I just don't know how long that takes. Okay, so enough is enough, no more hiding also comes up to 299. So I'm not hiding, I'm coming out. Trying to share my story, and like, oh, it's all good. It's, you know, I think initially things will be a little bit rough, but it will be perfect soon. Oh, nothing can stop what's coming. Hold on, I saw that. Nothing can stop what's coming. The best is yet to come comes to 299. So, unwinding the Fibonacci sequence is 299, and that's basically what's happening. And in that conference that I went to as well, I spoke with Jermaine, and he was saying how the Metatronic thing was satanic, and I was like, wait a minute, what is this guy speaking about? So people were speaking about base 10 math and base 12. And when I came back home, I was like, okay, let me see what this is about. So I pulled up a video and it was like Greek to me, like on the mathematical side. But if you show me a diagram, it made perfect sense. Like everything fell into place. So the Metatronic time matrix is what we're detaching from, which is religion. Because religion, there's so many different religions, right? And for me, it doesn't matter what your belief is, as long as you have love in your heart. And that's the only commandment Jesus gave us, right? Was a new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another as I have loved you. By this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you have loved one to another. So for me, like, that's the basis. If we love one another, you know, you're going to go to heaven. And the thing with religion that really got to me was like, oh, if you don't believe the Bible, you're going to go to hell. And I was like, well, what about the poor dude that can't read or write? You know what? So he's just condemned from birth? It doesn't make any sense. So it's just, that's where we're at. When you look at the base 10, and it's based on the Metatronic time matrix, which is ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So we're unwinding time. My birthday as well is like something to do with the time travel day. So we're unwinding time so that we're going back to the beginning of this time, or the time before this time. And now I sound like Ducky. Yep. From this is so good. So anyway, so we are shifting back to the time before the beginning of this time, before the Luciferian invasion. The Luciferian invasion was done by the Alpha Draconians and the Anu Anunnaki, right? That steered away from the Emerald Covenant and the High Syrian Council. And they did this, I guess, in order to get control of the humans on Earth, and to do whatever they wanted us to do. So we're shifting out of that time matrix into the Catheric time matrix. And this is what really got me on. I spoke to a really interesting gentleman that helped me a lot on my journey. His name is Eric. And I get my CBD oil from him, and I'll actually put something in the comment section for a discount if anybody's interested in it, because I like his product. And he's the gentleman, you know, I went and did a meditation with him, and he mentioned Lyra. So when I started reviewing Lyra, like a lot of, like, the Palladian stuff just doesn't resonate, and I know that we've all gone through all of that. So it's just really interesting. You know, while I'm thinking about that, there's another story about Enki and Enlil, and these are these archons, and you kind of wonder, okay, so is that still the war that's been fought? So we know it was the Luciferian invasion into the Garden of Eden, where the Anu Anunnaki and the Alpha Draconians. The Alpha Draconians have the negative, rhesus negative didn't come from a monkey, okay? It goes back to the beginning of time with the Alpha Draconian invasion, where they had copper-based blood, and in order to incarnate onto this plane or this realm, with the oxygen levels that were different, they had to, like, I guess, clean out an egg of Eve and pop in the, well, I don't know, like Cain impregnated Eve with the AB, with the rhesus negative trait, right? So when I'm reviewing it from my perspective, and obviously if there's anybody else that can add to this, I appreciate it, because this is my gnosis on it, and if you can help me, that would be perfect. But my understanding of it, with the invasion into the Garden of Eden, and that's where we get, you know, a lot of people are pushing the AB negative blood as being like elite. And then we look at George W. Bush, that's a total traitor to this country. He had a crinkled flag on his casket, and I do believe that day with Senior's funeral is when everybody was arrested anyway. So the people we're seeing right now are impersonators, clones, actors, like Hillary Obama. I do believe that they've all been taken out already, and I have a video over here where I have a pentagram where you can actually see how they've done their sacrifices and stuff over the United States, which is astounding. But I do believe, like, they've already gone into Gitmo, and, you know, President Trump upgraded that for them. But the AB negative blood is, I know that was his blood. And if let's just seriously look at the traits of people. You know, if you're very egoic and you want to hurt other people, and you will do whatever it takes and when it all costs, doesn't matter if other people lose life or limb, I mean, that mentality is draconic. And then when you feed on that ego, you know, it's like, who are you serving? It's like, who are you serving? You're either doing good things or you're not. It's either black or white. There is no in between. So, yep, that was the Fibonacci. Okay, so that was going into the 12. So the 10, okay, just takes you to Darth Vader. I'm going to show you actually. Let's see if we can do it this way. Okay, I wasn't planning on it. Okay, so this is like the Kabbalah, right? So this would be classified as base 10. Okay, so if we count the seraphim, which are these things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? This is the fib of no chi, right? There is no energy flow in that diagram because all of your energy is just going to go out to Darth, which is there. So it's just this hollowness in my interpretation. Oh, I wish I had another picture. There's another one that's similar, right? And the Catheric one that has a total of 12, which is based on base 12 math. And you have portals. Oh, I should have pulled that up. You have portals that go on 3, 6, and 9. And this is what's happening right now is we're being shifted through galactic stargates. And as we're moving through those, we're getting to higher frequency and different color spectrums. And we're each waking up at different times. In my journey, I found that the purer the food that you put in the body, the purer your thought. So I do eat mostly fruit, and I get my protein from hemp hearts. And I'm still working on all of that. You know, when I was diagnosed with the autoimmune hepatitis related to the acute hepatitis from taking fluoroquinolones, that was the point where I was like, I'm not doing this. You know, the doctor wanted to put me on, and my hepatologist wanted to put me on high dose steroids and immunosuppressants, and I was like, I'm done, because that was like the 6th autoimmune disorder that I'd been diagnosed with. And here's the thing, once you realize when you're in the wrong place, and I was a nurse at the time, so when you in the wrong place and you get sick every year, like it was almost like I got diagnosed with a new autoimmune disorder every year, it's because the environment that you're living in isn't optimal. So it's got to do with epigenetics too. Your genetics do not determine, like, don't go cut off your boobs like these people, right? Which is twisted, because you could potentially get breast cancer when breast cancer is totally controlled. Any of these illnesses are totally controlled by what you put in your mouth and what you eat. And your environment you live in. That's what the epigenetics are. So if you pay attention to your environment, and your environment is good and your food is good, you're not going to get sick. It's a part of the scare tactic to make you buy into the corrupt medical field, which is just death management. It's really not medical in any way, shape, or form. And when you start doing the research behind that and realize that the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and there's another family, I think it started with M, I can't think of it right off the bat. I mean, they created pharmaceuticals so they could keep you sick, so that you can keep generating money off of you, and they can control you. We've basically been experiments on such a high level, and we don't need the medical field in the capacity that we have it if you take care of what you eat. And like, that's my desire, is really to help people that are wanting to make these changes. I really feel better than I have in the longest time. Now that my mind is like settling back down again, like I was saying earlier on, around April 4th this year is like when I really start to get more clarity. And even though it's still scrambled, some of the times I'm working through it. Okay. I am sending light and love, and healing also comes to $2.99. So here's the thing. It's like, I don't wish anything bad on any of these people that have come against me. And I genuinely pray that your family and that you all don't suffer, like coming against the Lightworkers and the angelic beings, which is kind of, I'm not being egoic, and I'm not trying to put labels on anyone. But if you listen to what people are saying and how they're sharing it, this is what we are here to do. And there are people that try to stop us from having a voice and sharing our stories. So I don't know if there's anybody else that was targeted in the way I was. If there is, I really would appreciate it if you would share with me. And also, let's not wish bad things on each other. You know, let's lift each other up. And like I said to these individuals that did that, I do forgive you. And I love you. And I do genuinely I do genuinely wish all things bright and all things beautiful for you and your family. And even though you did spells on my children and wanted to hurt me in those ways, I forgive you, and I hope that nothing bad happens to any of your children. I would hate for that to happen. So I pray that God forgives you and keeps you safe and keeps your family safe. And I genuinely mean that. Because once you understand that there's a law of reciprocation, like if we're going to want to love one another and be kind and generous, and you can't be casting darkness, you can't be wishing bad things, you can't be forcing a pregnancy. If you're doing black magic to get pregnant, your child is hollow. It's not a child, it's a demon, because it's not made with the love of God. It's made by manipulation. And this is where we're at. You know what? Like, if we, again, viewing things from a higher perspective, at the beginning of time, the fall was basically where we're at right now. I have no hard feelings against anybody if you're homosexual, bisexual, trisexual, polysexual, you know, the LGBTQ, MNO, VW, like there's always just another letter to confuse people, when ultimately at the beginning of it, you know, God created man and woman. And I mean that is no disrespect for anybody, but you know, I think as the resonancy changes and as we all ascend, that these are going to be some of the changes that we will experience as we go through these times. Celibacy is something that's really important too, and who you share your energy with, you know. And like, I think when I'm listening to the group that I was in, I guess I upset someone enough where I made them angry and wasn't willing to run off to or chase an individual. And it's not anything negative, it's just not who I am. If you don't choose for me to be a part of your life, then I can't make you want me to be a part of your life. I'm not jealous, I'm not envious, I'm not spiteful, and I genuinely do wish good for everybody. So if somebody wants to evoke a response that's not part of my nature, and then come after me with magic and energy manipulation to try and do things, it doesn't work, because I see the goodness, and I want to see the goodness in everybody, and everybody has goodness in them. But sometimes you'll get like a feeling from people, and this has been, again, for me and my journey, what has helped me. It's like I've gone with people, and you listen to their story, and you won't, it all makes sense, but there's like something that doesn't quite gel. So for me, it was, I did email a gentleman the other day, and I really hope I didn't offend him at all, okay? But I was just being genuine, because I followed him in the beginning, and he was sharing so much vital information. But he's like, every week, he was like, you better buy my products, because I'm increasing the price. I'm increasing the price. And I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense to me, because the world is falling apart. People don't know their arse from their elbow. Sorry, I'm going to try not to cuss. I do sometimes, and it's just who I am. So, but I do try not to. Okay, so, and there we go. I got down a rabbit hole and forgot what I was going to say. And that's the other thing. Is like when you get to this point and you're sharing information, if somebody like interrupts you, you lose your train of thought, and it's like, but this is how we go, right? Okay. So behind the scenes, and because this is the war, not of flesh and blood, but of principalities. So my saving grace, I guess, or how I've tried to mitigate it, if that's what this is like I listen to my zodiac, so I can pick up on stuff. So if you know what people are planning ahead of time, you can like say, no, I don't want that. I'm not going to invite that into my life. Send them love and guidance, and maybe they'll stop doing what they're doing. But it's like you have. Here's the thing: if you don't follow God, I'm going to say God. If you don't follow source, if you don't follow your consciousness or that like feeling in your heart, if you don't follow that, stuff's going to go wrong in your life, and it is your intuition. And I guess I learned that at a really at a really young age, because I was not perfect. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, and that's where religion kind of dogs stuff as well. It's like, oh my God, you sinned. You're going to go to hell and you're going to burn in some eternal hellfire. Well, no, the world was made for us to be able to make mistakes and learn from them. The choice is yours. You either learn from the mistake or you don't. And when I'm going with that is like, I would go, no, that I would get caught smoking because I was naughty at school. And we would go smoking in the bush, and I knew we would get caught, and we would get caught. And eventually you learn, like, I'm going to follow that feeling, and that's just how you go, and it becomes your compass in life. And me having been born premature, I was in an incubator for the first 4 months of my life, so I didn't have a lot, another 4, a lot of contact, human contact, I guess. So I never really bonded with anybody. So my heart has always been my guide. So that's like interesting. So going back to what I was saying, it's like, it seems like there are a lot of divine masculines that are being targeted by females or individuals that don't realize that they have a higher purpose. It's not, when the Bible tells you you've got to stay married to someone, even though they make you miserable, it doesn't make any sense. That's not your life purpose. The person, you have a soul contract with people. If you don't follow your soul contract, I guess things don't go well for you, because you're not listening to what was written in the stars from the beginning of time, what God's directing you to do. So, if we don't do these things and we cast darkness onto other people, it's going to come back to us as disease. If you're constantly negative and thinking bad things and wanting to do bad things, you actually cultivate negative dendrites in your brain, and you change the chemistry of your neurotransmitters, and you're going to put yourself in a place of darkness, because your thoughts affect the chemistry in your body as well. So, and your thoughts has got to do with your frequency or your vibration, which affects your frequency. So if your vibration is low, your frequency is high, and vice versa. And to me, like, the easiest way for me to make sense of that is what's going on in your brain. If your thoughts are calm and cool and collected, your vibration is high, right? If your thoughts are erratic and crazy and just like a discombobulated mess, then your frequency is going to be then your frequency is going to be low. Does that make sense? Because your mind is erratic. That's how it makes sense to me. So I don't know who's alive anymore and who's dead in the people that claimed to be alive and went into witness protection and to come out and help us. There seems to be all these wars happening on different levels of consciousness, or dimensions, if you want to look at it that way. So it's those battles. So like I was saying, if you wish bad things on other people, bad things are going to come back on you. If you wish disease and illness and cancer on a person that's pure of heart, that has no ill intentions, you're going to get it back. It's the way the world works. It's a universal law of reciprocation. Just like love is the law of vibrational energy, and you control it totally. I don't know. It's like makes me happy to bring joy to other people and to bring them happiness and to see somebody smile. And if you take a step outside and you look at where we were 2 years ago when this coronavirus hit, I mean, people were going to Walmart with their hair all disheveled and no teeth in their mouth and I don't know, pajamas with wedges. And it's like, okay, well, if that makes you comfortable, that's okay. But if we go to Walmart now and you take a look, you'll see people are brushing their hair and they're paying more attention to their appearance, and it's beautiful and it makes me happy to see those things, um, because it means that the world is changing and the frequencies and the resonance is increasing and we're seeing the goodness and you can feel it. You can feel the change in the atmosphere. Can you, like, if you go outside, can you feel the happiness? It's getting better. We're getting there through the ascension. Okay, so I'm going to do some more of this one. Can we get this show on the road? Is $2.99 as well. I don't want to make all kind of predictions or say everything that's in here, but I do want us to consider that sometimes people could have been harmed behind the scenes by their own loved ones, by trying to embark on their life journey and to fulfill their mission that God set out for them. My heart goes out to everybody that is meeting such resistance that they're not able to walk their path. I do send love and understanding, and I hope that you're able to embrace those and make those changes without too much of a difficulty, and especially not to lose your life over so anyway, to Donald Most High, love you is $2.99, and to me, he is the Christ that put himself out there, and he has been crucified by the cabal, but I am grateful for everything he has done for us, and I always will be grateful for the courage and the strength and the tenacity and the lion fearness that I see in him, which again goes back to Lyra, which actually are like the blue people apparently and look like the avatars on Avatar. So it's an exciting thing. So yeah, I'm risking life and love on this is also $2.99. Invisible security from God is $2.99. Here's the thing, it's like I don't want to, I'm not trying to make myself be special or anything. I'm just sharing my story because it's kind of incredible to me as well that I had 3 ascended masters in my life. Kim Clement being one, and not that I knew him personally, but he was born in the same town as me. My mother and my father were both ascended masters with the number 33, so I'm sure that they were targeted as well because, if you don't know who you are, but the powers that be do, and they draw off your life swords, it's just so twisted. It's crazy when you realize the amount of deceit and deception that we are faced with. So just the process of learning comes up to $2.99 as well. I love you with all my heart is $2.99. Trump speaks to the world is $2.99. The day people dancing together queue is $2.99. My heart is pure, I know, $2.99. No one is above the other, even me. No one. We're all brothers and sisters in Christ. We're all one. And that means like the same thought, the same train of thought. If we all get into a space of wanting to be kind and caring and compassionate and generous, and we desire to do good for others, we create love within ourselves and we increase our vibration. And once you get into these higher states of conscious awareness, you can't get sick. You can't get sick because pathogens cannot live in an environment that has higher harmonics. And I think it's the 11th harmonic. I shared something about it last year in one of the groups as well, where in number 11 is like incredible as well. Oh, and that reminds me thinking, right, Pearl Harbor Day is 12/7 of 1945, which is 111. like I take the year on its own is 11, and then if you add the other is 1, which gives you 3. Um, so I know, like, thank you for joining me for my waffle this morning. I guess that's going to be my tagline, right? So this is what we are. So there are the Illuminati, these people that know who we are and what our spiritual gifts are, and they're not able to utilize them, I guess, in unconventional ways. But to me, at the end of the day, am I angry at anybody for doing this? No, I'm genuinely not. Because if you've used all of our abilities for the greater good of humanity, how can I be? The problem for me is I don't even know what those gifts are. I'm just speaking, right? Because it appears that's what's happened. I have no hard feelings. I think where the problem came in is where you tried to eliminate me and not work with me. And again, these are not. And when I listen to the angels, they are seeing these people think that we're the witches, that we're the black magicists, or whatever they call them, witches and wizards and warlocks and shamans and all these people and beings that know. So I do look forward to see if somebody would like step in and explain to us exactly what's going on, because you feel like a guinea pig in an experiment while they scramble your brain and mess with frequencies. It's also about like elf weapons, which is extremely low frequency weapons, which they use as well. And I think I have okay, so the first thing is like a false twin. And a twin is supposedly someone that we were supposed to fulfill humanitarian projects with. You have a divine counterpart. I do not believe. I think when you tap into your energy like that, you can be misled to believe other things, because they have easier access to your energetic fields. And like, I don't know exactly how that works, because I haven't had somebody that's an expert in manipulating energies that way, or to harness the energy of another human for their own purpose. I haven't had anybody explain that to me, and I really would. Like, if somebody has like changed their life and you were an energy vampire and like want to help me understand that, like, shoot me an email, and maybe you can do it as long as you don't try doing not so nice things anymore, right? But I would like to know more about it. And then I do pray for send my love to anybody and families that have lost people through the craziness of a few people's deception and lies can cause many other people tremendous heartache and pain when you try and manipulate God's word to go in your way, and when you think that you can change God's purpose. I send my heart and all of my love to these people, and just hope that they find peace and joy and happiness in their life. And yeah, I love, honor, and respect you, 299. She's protected by a guardian angel, 299. I'm protected by many, many guardian angels. My biological father. Let me see if you can see. I don't know, it doesn't give it very much glory on it. But my daddy was my heart, and that was known. When my parents got divorced, it was in 81, and I get 81, and I link that snowstorm to that, because my dad was my heart. In 97 as well, when he had a helicopter accident, like I said, and he was in a coma for 6 months, couldn't walk or talk. And then when he woke up, like, he lived for 27 months, 9, oh God, which is a version of 72, after the accident, when he passed away. And there were celebrities that were in South Africa over that time as well. So, these people have never, for me at this point in time, it's like, wait, you tried to sacrifice me, so you're not my friend, unless you come and change that and like speak about it. Like, I can't think anything else. I realize that in the Illuminati there are good people and that there are bad people, and I guess God put some of us in these positions to, unbeknownst to us, we irritate the demons or the darkness in other people, which makes them react. So when they react, they pull more of that into their life, and then they need to finish karmic lessons. So they draw all this stuff. And I think, one of my understandings from listening to one of the angels, or the Starseeds, was that when they were trying to switch my soul or harvest my soul, they draw off all of your energy. They want to take my abilities, so they want to walk in my purpose, which is in my north node, because I am walking in my purpose. I am honest, I am truthful. I really genuinely try to be the best I can be every day. And when you look at Melania, I think that's her slogan, isn't it? Be best. That's kind of interesting. It's just this whole situation. It's like we need to get to a point where we just stop and we don't do bad things to one another, because you're gonna, if we continue to do this and you continue to go after good people, you're just gonna pull more like karma into your life, or that negativity, and you're bringing it upon yourself, because it's what you're putting out into the world. It's like, oh, I hate this person, I want to hurt this person. There was another thing that happened. This individual that called me every day for a month, she also called me the one day when I was in a restaurant, right? And the music was really loud, so I had to elevate my voice. And she got the point, she said, why are you yelling at me? And I was like, what the fuck is this chick doing? It's like she's trying to portray something. It just didn't sit well. It's like she's pretending, she's putting on an act for somebody else. And she did, and she probably got a very good response, but that's her manipulation, and that's how it works. But you know what? All things beautiful. I will never wish anything poor on another person. Okay. Okay, so Most High, Pure Love, Infinite also comes to $2.99. And God Himself shall be with them is $2.99. She does not like dishonesty is $2.99. I really don't. Like, I don't think any of us do. And the point is like identifying when someone's being deceitful and just not let them do it. You call them out and say, don't lie to me, or you just walk away and you don't include them in your life. Eventually they'll stop doing it. And that's like the most important thing. It's like, yes, I'm very lonely and I am alone, but it's not always my intention. But I cannot pretend to be someone that I'm not to fulfill an observation of who somebody else should think I am. I just can't do that. I'm just myself. And if you love me, you love me. And if you don't, you don't. And if you don't try and do bad things because you don't understand. So that's where we're at. I'm still happy. My enemies often have accidents. Q comes to $2.99. I'm looking for a miracle in my life, comes to $2.99. So there's lots of like little interesting things. This is what I wanted to start off with for my little waffle today, and to kind of find out if there are any other light workers or starseeds or chosen ones, because we are the children of God, and He's coming to take us home, right? Everybody's been warned of this second coming and on how to be, and it's what's naturally happening. Like as the ascension is happening and people are passing away, first off, that's their soul contract, right? That is their soul contract to pass over at this time, and they light increase their resonancy and help this human resonance, and we all move forward. Well, that's ultimately the goal, right? Yeah, evil intentions are annihilated also comes to $2.99. It's another one that I wrote down. What's going on with the sun is $2.99. So last year, actually, I took a picture of the sun. We actually have two suns. And I guess it's a simulation to also increase the resonancy of the earth, which is really exciting. You provide cures for cancer, comes to $2.99. Yes, they are. You want to keep your body in an alkaline state to cure cancers, and a higher vibration. Pineal function is absolutely vital. Okay, what does that mean? Your melatonin that is produced by the pineal gland is actually a macrophage, and it goes through at night when you're sleeping, and it gnaws up all of the defective cells. And this is why it's also important to try not to eat genetically modified foods, because I'm sorry, it's going to create cancer because it's genetically modified. So this is what the macrophages in your body or your melatonin go after and like gobble up at night so that you don't get cancer. But if you look at where the big towers are, right, where they put the 4G towers up, there were massive bee die-offs, and there was like an influx of cancer around these places. And then you have to ask yourself why. And it's because of the low frequency, like the 4G. It's 5G is even worse. It's a weapon, right? And it's never really been implemented, I don't believe, because we didn't see the die-offs like we did when they switched to 4G. So we didn't see those, and that was one of those things that was like confirmation for me that, you know, when the white hats were sharing that they were trying to get Tesla technologies in place of the 5G, you know, that's one of those things that you watched for, and I never did see that. So going back, so they know that this constant onslaught with the the lower frequencies is actually not good for pineal gland function, because it decreases the amount of melatonin that you produce. And then they do it other ways as well, with fluoridation in the water. They put fluoride in the water, which calcifies your pineal gland, and then also cause imbalances in your body, which draws calcium from your bones. And then you get diagnosed with osteoporosis, and they're like, oh my God, you need a calcium supplement. So then they give you calcium that your body can't absorb in pill form. It has to be in a food form, in leafy greens. So when you're putting a pill in your mouth that's calcium, all it's doing is putting deposits in your brain, which leads to Alzheimer's and dementia, I guess, because you have all those calcium deposits in your brain once your pineal gland is totally calcified. And that was the other thing, you know, with the beginning of my journey, I got this video about Bill Gates in 2005 doing a debriefing on how the vaccine was going to work and basically inhibit how your pineal gland functions so that you can't ascend, or that you won't have full function of your body. And this is why, you know, when the medical field tells you that they don't know how your endocrine system works, it's crap. They just don't want us to know. And this is how, like, relearning and discovering things. So once you have all of your internal chemistry balanced, right, you'll have refunctioning of the pineal gland. And that's what's happening with the CME that's coming in, or the influx of the light, or this light flash. Basically, it'll be like a little switch that turns you on. Well, makes your pineal gland work. And I mean that in so many different ways as well, because apparently with total enlightenment, it is blissful to the point of being orgasmic, I guess. So I think that could be interesting to see, like, whoever's had those experiences to share. It'd be good. Okay. It's showtime now. Let's go. It's also $2.99. Storm of Truth and Justness is $2.99. Here's like one thing I do want to say. It's like, I don't know how they do the looking glass stuff, or how they use our abilities to help people, but I do genuinely hope that, you know, somehow we've been able to help, and that people have perhaps been able to go into witness protection before they've been done harm, or while other people have tried to stop them from obtaining their ascension goals, which is really sad. It's like you're telling that person, I don't want you to ascend, I don't want you to go to heaven. It's cruel. It's cruel. And I don't know, I guess maybe that's how comics work, is people that are sent into your life to teach you life lessons, and that's okay. For me, my life lesson was you know, through this situation and feeling like I had a life purpose with somebody. The lesson for me was that I'm grateful for the lesson, because it made me appreciate who I am more, and know what I was wanting in my life and how I want to be treated. And you know, at this point in time, we're going back to where men are our protectors. They love us and they love women, and husbands, love your wives. I think that comes to $2.99. I wrote it down here. You know, that's all that a lady looks for in it I don't want to say life partner because we have soul contracts with people, and how we choose to deal with that is ours. You know, I did feel strongly that I am meant to be with someone other than my ex-husband, and you know, we went through it amicably. With when we got divorced, it was like, okay, so how do we do this so that we don't get hurt and our children don't get hurt? And that always has to be the primary focus, because once you lose that, you just end up annihilating your whole family and everybody ends up hurt. And but that's what the system, that's what the court system is designed to do, is to make people hate each other. And then who suffers as a result? It's always the children. We have to realize that everything is always against our children, and we need to rise above that. And there's so many changes that are going on with the ascension. And if you find like you don't have anything in common with anybody anymore, like, let's get together and let's talk about it and do things amicably, because it's the changes in the universe that are forcing these changes in our life. It's not just a thing. So if we work together, and we can always do this for the greater good of all of us, and we do it with grace and integrity and love for one another. This is my little dude. His name is Cobb, and I love cats. I have 4 cats. Maybe that's the Lyra thing, right? Okay. So let's see what else I can do. I know it's getting a little bit long-winded, and I'm just happy to finally have the courage to stand up and share. And I guess I like to talk. But there's another thing over here that makes me giggle, because I know these messages are being left for me, right? So let's see. The arrests is yet to come. Q also comes to $2.99, right? Okay, here's something else. It's like huge CME and 8 hours of missing data. So is that what we can anticipate that's coming in, or has it come in, or what? So I don't know. You know what I do want to share though is, like, each one of us, you and me, like each one of us chose to be here at this time, and we should be joyful, and we should be happy, and we should be celebrating, because we are the ones creating heaven on earth. And I'm grateful to be here, and I'm excited. Really am excited, you know. And when we look at this, the children, you know, President Trump isn't only saving the children in the tunnels, he's saving you and me, because we all children of God. And especially those of us that are waking up, the starseeds, and those of us that are like shining a light in the darkness. And I realized what mine was, because I was a nurse. Before I was a nurse, I was a paramedic, and before that I was a massage therapist. And with nursing, it's like every year I was in nursing, I would get sicker. But again, it was like my job as being a starseed, was to shine a light. Clearly, I do believe the NSA follows all of us. So when you are someone of honesty and integrity, and you are willing to stand up and not just go with the flow because everybody else does, right? And when you realize that you lose your jobs because you're trying to do the right thing, it's crazy. Or when you get accused of stealing and you didn't steal a thing, and they tell you you don't have a choice. You can either resign, or we're going to report you to the nursing board. And then you're like, but I didn't do anything. But this is the mentality of reptilians, or people that have no consciousness. If you choose to lie about someone to that degree, it's like, it's pathetic. But I guess that was the world we live in, and this is what's changing, because all of those people are falling away, because that mentality is not a part of the future. We have to be kind, we have to be caring, we have to be compassionate. And you know, while I say that, I also want to send my love out to, like, politicians and people in high-ranking positions that have been so manipulated, where they have, you know, I've listened to Lynn Wood. I love Lynn Wood. I think he shares great things. And actually, let me see, there was something about Lynn in here as well. I don't know exactly where. But, you know, I was listening to Len share a lot of his stuff in the beginning. You know, when a politician is
held at gunpoint and forced to harm a child. And they use that to manipulate them and have a hold on them. Like, I can't imagine living in that place where people blackmail you to that degree, where if you want this job, you're going to do what we say, or else we're going to release this stuff. Like, my heart goes out to them, that to those people that are stuck in that position where you don't feel like you have a voice. I hope that soon they're able to have voices and able to share the things that these evil people, the Clintons and the Obamas and the Bushes, have done to them to manipulate and force certain outcomes. My heart genuinely goes to them, because I cannot imagine being in a position like that. So again, it's also forgiveness from everybody else to realize the magnitude of what these people have to go through to be manipulated to do the things that they want them to do. Okay, what else can I share? Understanding is our soul. So, and this is another thing, like, where I want to share, just like following people and hearing other people's stories, you know. It's just finding that understanding and forgiveness in each other. You know, if somebody is born into this system, and like, I'm gonna use this as an example, just also listening from people. If you are born into a system where you are told, if you want to be a good mother, you need to do enemas on your child to facilitate sodomy that will take place later, it's such a difficult thing to wrap your brain around. But if you look at Obama, for instance, you know, this man was passed around like a rag doll, apparently, from the day he drew breath, and his consciousness split. Every time a child is hurt, every time a person is raped, molested, they are taught that they love you, but yet you're being hurt. And I think that sometimes makes it difficult for you to love when you associate love with pain. So there's all these children that are growing up in this system that are abused, but they don't realize that it's abuse, because these moms are taught that if you want to be a good mom, this is what you got to do. So for me, we can look at Obama and there are horrific things that we're told that he's done. And I know that there comes a point where people are like, I will never forgive him. But like, how can you not? How can you not, when they didn't have a chance to begin with? When from the moment he was born, his consciousness was split so that the demonic entity could fill that void. And that's what that is. Like, when you break a consciousness, when you continue being broke down, you have a choice. You can choose to do dark things, or you can choose to use that as a stepping stone to be stronger in character and to rise above it. So that's always important. Okay. Kingdom of Heaven's door closing comes to $2.99. No. So we all going, right? Where we go, why we go all. Isn't that Q's little deal? For sure. Okay, let's see. Focus is energy for change. So my birthday falls into that, like, focus bracket. And that, so, but I'm excited. Like, I'm excited. You know, when President Trump tells us that he's going to be back in some form, like, I didn't know which form it was, so I still don't know. Is that in his true form as General Patton's son? That would be awesome. You know, is it his form as, like, I don't know, Lord Sirius, and we're going to open up the heavens, and we're going to have all of these amazing crafts that are going to take us to a new Earth, Sirius B? I don't know. They're so exciting on what the future does hold, right? Or we're just terraforming a new Earth while they're taking this one into higher levels of consciousness through the stargates using Tesla technologies. Yep. So titanium superconductor comes to $2.99. A extreme love for one another is $2.99.
Dance with her when she needs dancing is $2.99. I love dancing. It's one of my favorite things. Um, and it is, if you want to increase your frequency, dance. Play some music and dance, because apparently that's like, it makes it better, right? I like music. Oh, like the wow signal, when when I was working through that, like I think I mentioned it, but I'm going to mention it again because I want you to listen to those songs. I'm coming home, silent running, and rescue. That rescue is for you and for me, and that God is coming to take his children home. And it's exciting, and I know it's not going to resonate with everybody, and that's okay. Like the Starseeds know. Like, I love listening to them, and like this is how the FBI is watching people, and like they're picking up on these intuitives that are doing God's work. There's nothing bad about a spiritualist. They are more in tune with with God than many people that go to church every Sunday. And I know that's going to grate people, but it's the truth. You know, once you realize that religion is a form of mind control and therefore a soul control, again, for me, it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, if religion, if your belief system brings you joy and happiness and it connects you to God, then that's all that matters, right? Truly, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Is joy and happiness, because once you have that in your heart, we're automatically vibrating at a higher frequency of love and kindness and generosity. So let's see, what else can we do? Okay, we all want the love of a lifetime is $2.99. You know, I want to like say something to this as well, because I got like a little bit sidetracked. So we all have like the purpose of another person, and I think I've linked it, and I'm not going to say who, because it's two of us that would have been in the dark, that are not in the know of what the Illuminati's intentions are, right? So 9/11 is very pertinent. And then what I thought else was funny, like all these people that are croaking on 99 years old. So if you go 9 times 11 is 99, what was their benefit, right? It's just a thought. And if anybody can add on to that, please do, like put in the comments, like I don't know, shoot me an email, whatever. We can get this ball rolling and make the world a better place together. Let's see. Pastor Bob in Marilyn Monroe comes to $2.99 again. Pastor Bob is Bob Joyce, which were like my neighbors when I was little, and apparently by who Elvis Presley is going now. You know, I'm not being one of those crazy people to go after him and say, hey, Bob, are you Elvis? Because I'm not going to do that. He knows who I am, and when the time's right, they will come and tell me what I need to know on whatever this thing is that I guess they plant down as a secret soldier program. I have no idea. I guess maybe my dad knew more than I did. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, right? Find our ego, love your heart. Okay. So that's like where we're at. Like we have all of these interesting things that are happening, and mostly I just wanted to share about the monster episode, like that Monsters Inc., them drawing the energy, and then being targeted last year. And just for everybody that did that, just know that I do forgive you and I do love you. And I wish everything bright and beautiful for your future, wherever that may lead you. How to protect yourself comes to $2.99. I need to get out of the matrix is $2.99. I'm looking for a miracle in my life is $2.99. I think I've said that one already. So, I don't know. I just wanted to share that with you and appreciate the time that you've come and spent with me today. And yeah, if anybody else can speak about the, I don't know, I mean, is this satanic ritual abuse when they harness your energy and then want to kill you at the end of it to steal the essence of who you are, to use it for their greater good, or whoever else has basically purchased your gifts in the black market. It's ludicrous. It's like, you know, and again, it's like I don't want to be accusatory towards anybody, I really don't. But it's like when you're listening to this and you hear about the psychics that are pitching in, that are tapping into these societies that are coming after the chosen, like that are here to fulfill a higher purpose. Like we have governments, we have CIAs messing with our brains, and then we have these covens as well. I don't know what I was going to say again. It's like I have to keep your train of thought because it goes so quickly, and if you don't stay in that focus, the thought vacates your cranium pretty quick. So yeah, if anybody can share any of these experiences, and again, it could also just be them from not wanting me to speak out about it, and to see how, if anybody else has had any of these experiences, and how we can come together to help each other bring light to it, I guess. But thanks for joining me, and I appreciate it, and all things bright and beautiful for you and your family, and I love you. And I don't want to say bless you because I never ever want you to be less. Let's rise above it. Let's love one another. Let's stand together, and let's make this a world a brighter place. And give thanks to President Trump and the military for everything that they're doing. And all of the people behind the scenes, the families that are having difficult times. And my heart goes out to anybody that has lost a loved one. I listened to a recording. I'm going to get long-winded again. I was listening to a recording about a gentleman, somebody that was passing away, and he kept asking his family to let a divine feminine come in to speak to him, to settle his heart. If you have a family member that is asking that, please do consider, because I think once you realize, I honestly didn't know about earth angels, but once you realize that we're sent to help others with a purpose in their life, and whether that's to cross over, whether it doesn't matter what it is, it's just like if somebody is asking for somebody at the time of death, consider letting those people come in and be with those loved ones. It is important. It does help with the transition. And I learned that from being in hospice, being a hospice nurse, is a transition in death is easier when someone has made peace with everything in their heart. If they are asking for people at death, there's a closure that they're needing, and I did pray for that individual and hope that their passing was peaceful. So yeah, I do want to ask folks to love and honor and respect our loved ones and those that are important to us, even if we don't understand exactly what they're going through. Don't try to control it, try to honor, because if you genuinely truly love someone, you will honor their wishes, and you will honor what they ask for, especially during those transition times. So there we go. I love you, and all things bright and beautiful, and thank you for joining my waffle this morning, and I will try and do some more videos each day. Thank you.